The next thing we're going to talk about is how to use rubber molds with the QuikWood. This opens a whole different fun thing to do. I happened to purchase these from Blue Well, which is a gourd supplier, so if you ever happen to need any of those, you might look them up. I also picked up some cake decorating molds, and this one is from Wilton, which I can't wait to try onto a board. It's got flowers and birds and trees. The cake ones are nice because they're kind of shallow and they're not as deep, so I really like the shallow ones better. But when you're looking for rubber molds, look for them in all kinds of different areas. You'd really be surprised. In the jewelry section, they happen to be. Sometimes they are in the clay section, and then like I said before, some of them are in the cake decorating supply section. The one thing that I really didn't like was the plastic molds. You can't kind of bend them to get your clay out, and they were a lot harder to work with, at least for me. So I don't like working with those as well. Your clay, or your rubber molds also come in little tiny things like this. I happen to pick these up from the cake decorating supply warehouse, and so they had all kinds of nice little shapes as well. So we're going to do a face, and what I'm actually working on is a Santa face for a gourd. So we're going to use the rubber mold to start his face. Okay, what we're going to do is we're first going to take our little mold. Like I said, this was one that I purchased from Blue Well, and it's got hands and feet and ears, and I guess these are elf ears. I can't decide what else they are. So I'm going to use the smaller face, and of course again I sprayed it with my vegetable spray, and I've already had my QuikWood ready to go, so I'm gently going to push it into the mold. You want to have enough QuikWood that it happens to fill up the entire mold, but you don't want so much that it's working out. I actually could put a little bit more into this, and as you see, I'm picking up that Pam on the back because, or the vegetable spray, because you do not want it to not stick to your gourd. So it's real important to remember that we don't want that to stick, so we're kind of removing that a little bit because it was too much there. And then we're going to simply take it to our gourd, and we're going to push it on. See how that just went right on just like that. And then I would just kind of just do the face just a little bit. And all I did on mine was I added more clay in this area, starting from the chin on down, to make the beard, and then I put a little rim around to turn this into the hat. And that is simply how you use the molds. They are so much fun. Another thing we're going to do, and I'm going to show you a really neat thing that I just discovered, and we're going to be using a mold, but you usually use your mold and then you have the pain of trying to color it after you've put it onto your gourd. And on the tree gourd, I forgot to mention that I usually just paint the QuikWood with acrylic brown paint, and then I highlight it with yellow and white. So that's how I usually add the colors to that. But I was playing with something the other day, so I went to the store today and I purchased some Wilton colors. And I tried doing this with plastic gloves, and it does not work. The gloves want to stick to your clay. And what I'm doing is I'm using a toothpick, and I'm just putting the color into this. If you're going to be using it, I would keep this just for your craft purposes only. If you were going to be using it for food and everything, make sure that you don't dip back into it each time you get a new toothpick. But anyway, my hands are going to start to get kind of messy here, and we'll see if we want to add more color or not. And if you notice, I'm using the paste. I am not using the liquid. The liquid is going to change the, what's the word I'm looking for here? Your clay. it's going to make it not want to set up as fast, and it's going to make it wiggle a lot more, so we don't want to use that. We want to use just the paste. Now I went back, you saw I added a little bit more color to this. And I happen to get a little tree mold. And I'm going to roll this kind of up into a ball so that you don't get those lines. Let's set that color off to the side. And there's my little tree mold. And I'm going to spray him with that Pam just a little. And we're going to push our colored clay in here. And you can see by that I've got just a little bit too much. So I'm going to take some of that out. And we're simply going to work it in some more. And I want to remove just a little bit more of that clay. If you put too much in it, you get it comes around the sides. And so then you have to cut it off after you've got it onto your gourd, and we don't want to have to do that. So we've got that there. So now we're simply going to take him to our gourd, and we're going to line him up. Wouldn't it be fun to do a Christmas scene or a snow scene with a whole bunch of little Christmas trees all lined up? And I'm not getting a good push here. I'm trying to show you instead. So we're going to push this just a little bit harder. And we're going to bring that Christmas tree down a little bit. And that didn't turn out real well, so guess what? We get redos with clay. That's what's really awesome about this. If you don't like it, you do it till you like it. So that's really one of the fun things. And if you ever have met me, my hands are always full of color. I guess that's a sign of a good artist, is we're always playing with color and new things, and my hands are always different fun colors. So now they're green today. And they're not green very often, usually they're red or yellow, brown. So let's try this again. See if we can get this to come onto our gourd here. I don't know why this guy's giving me a little bit tougher time today. He popped right out for me the other day when I was doing it. This is a deeper mold. Remember how I said the shallower ones are easier to work with? So you've got a little bit of a deeper mold. But there you go, you've got your tree on. So that's a really fun thing to do, and you can make any color you want to. The next thing I'm going to show you is if you were doing a leaf, and we've already made it this color with the poinsettia. We've already done the different colors with our food coloring, so that you know how we colored that. We just did that with the food coloring. And this was a pink. This was not a red. This was a pink. The red color is a little bit different. You can see that it's a little bit more red. I did put some different colors on top, and I'm going to show you how we get these wonderful colors. These leaves are so easy to make, and I love doing these. We're simply going to roll it out first. I'm going to take my finger, there's that red coloring I show you I'm always into, and I just pushed my thumb into it. You don't want to do it too thin on the bottom, and then I just kind of stretched it out a little bit so that we could put it next to our poinsettia flower. And we're gently just going to set it in there. Now we're going to kind of remove our fingerprints, and you can use a vegetable oil. You can also use just a little bit of water as well. That works really well too, but you don't want your fingerprints on that. I'm going to use my wax tools, my clay tools. I always call them wax tools. You know why, I'm used to that. I'm going to press that down a little bit, and we're going to come in here, and we're just going to put the leaf veins in. If you don't like the shape of it, if this side's too down for you, roll it out and do it again. But this is where the fun part comes in. I am going to take my shimmer powder, and I'm going to open them up. And when you're working with shimmer powder, work out of your lid. I'm going to use my gold and my green here, and use a mop brush. It's a brush that's not too it is not too pointy. It doesn't come to a point. It kind of fans out more. So that's what I like to use. Now when we do this, I dip my brush into the color and then pounce it off on the lid so that you're working out of the lid from now on, that the color doesn't get wasted, because if you came over here and did it straight, you're going to have a bunch of powder just kind of go everywhere. So we're going to come in here and look at that shimmer. Isn't that awesome? That's so cool. And paint your gourd before that. On this one here, I painted it with gold, just acrylic paint. This is a Coyote gourd, which we have available if you don't have those at your disposal. And then I just put that clay on top. And look how easy that is. We didn't have to paint that at all. We're just coming in here and adding the highlights to it. And I just love this. I think this is so awesome. I'm coming in now and I'm adding just gold highlights on it. And I'm putting it on the outside of the leaf, kind of where it would pick up some sunlight, and just a little bit in the middle. And you can play with that. You can add more, whatever you want to do. But look at the great shine you're already starting to get onto that leaf. The only thing, if you're working with this, is you might get a little bit of your thumbprint. When I'm working with the gold acrylic paint, I just base coat back over the top of that. But some people just like that real muted color that's even left by your handprint. So whatever you decide, that is really fun to do. I am going to show you one more product. And this product I really, really like, and this happens to be the Quick Copper. The Quick Copper actually contains particles of real copper in it, and it is just a really neat product to work with. I'm going to show you, if I can grab it here without the whole house falling down, how neat this looks. I think this is such a neat, antique-ish looking clay. I love working with this. I keep saying that I want to make these for heirloom ornaments to pass down to the family from generation to generation. I just think those are awesome. And I plan to be showing a class on this online, free of charge to everybody, so that you can learn how to make these, and that will be one of my next classes that I will be working with you on. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut off a piece of our Quick Copper, and remember, try and get all that plastic off there so that you don't have any in there. This happens to be my last in piece here, so I'm trying to get this off as nice as possible without making a mess. I want to make sure I have enough of the two parts. And that it works just like the QuikWood. It's already got the two parts in it, so it is really easy just to mix it. And this one, you can really tell the difference between the two when you're mixing it. So we're just going to go back and forth. And as you mix it, it starts to get easier to knead. We're going back and forth on this. So we're going to knead it till it becomes all one color. I think the Quick Copper has a tendency to dry a little bit faster than the QuikWood. I think on the instructions it tells you that's about 15 minutes working time on that. So remember that as well when you're working with it. So we're going to do kind of the same thing we did with our other piece here. And I am going to take that and push my finger in there. We're going to make this a flower petal. On that other one I used a purple or a blue shimmer powder. On this one I think we'll kind of come back in and add some. Let's put it on this side so we don't have to look at our other colors and get a little bit confused with them. When I'm doing the leaves, I pull the leaves a little bit further down than I do the petals. And we want to smooth that out, get your fingerprints out of there. Now one of the really fun tools I talked to you about was this one that kind of looks like a cutting tool. If you were tearing something out and they had kind of pre-cut for you to be able to tear it out. But look how fun that makes the flower. I think that's really kind of a neat thing to make the petals as well. So we're going to simply take our little mop brush here again. I'm going to open up a pink shimmer. Remember I talked about putting it into the lid, pouncing it off in the lid, not in the thing. That saves a lot on your color, so it goes a long ways, and that lasts a long time. See how that just adds the color to it? Look how fun that is. And because you're using the Quick Copper, you don't have to add any type of color to it, base color, which I really, really love. I'm coming in and I'm highlighting it again with just the gold. And I'm going to put it in the middle right there. And look at the antique look that gives it. I think that's just really neat to do it with roses. Wouldn't that be awesome with roses? Do an antique rose. So there's all kinds of fun things you can do with the Quick Copper as well. I just really think it's a great accent product to use as well. So we're going to wrap this little part up, and then we're going to come in and we're going to talk about everything that we use today and go over it just a little bit more.